I'm not.
You're
Okay,
not what?
I'm not gone completely.
Not gone completely. I understand.
Still ailing though.
Tell me about it.
That ain't going nowhere.
Not going anywhere, that's for sure.
Them pains and them aches.
Welcome to the Zoom watchers and Facebook watchers. We're waiting for the radio station at this time to clue us in. So good morning to all that are watching at this moment. So
we give you praise, glory, and honor for allowing us to sleep and slumber on last night and wake up on today with new mercy, new strength, new joy, another opportunity to get done what you have assigned our hands to do. We just ask you on this day that you will anoint those who would come over these airways, that you would download the information to them, that they may give it to us, that we may be better fathers, mothers, families. We would be better communities. We'll ultimately be a better world just for you. So we give you thanks, we give you praise, knowing that all things are done and it's done well. In Jesus' name, amen. And we say a pleasant good morning to you.
Good morning, Bishop.
Morning,
Bishop.
Thank you so much on this Monday morning for your prayer. We appreciate it. And every day we rise, it's a great day to be alive. And the Seven Cities Forums of Hampton Roads presents Portsmouth Coffee Talk. And I'm here with our host, Leah Drake Stith and
Good morning.
Chapman.
Good morning.
Yours truly, James Overton. Good morning, host.
Good morning. Good morning.
I have to say this, Leah. I'm looking at a picture of you holding a little one here. So is it some kind of announcement?
I told him at church I gave birth to him just in that second, believe me. But listen, but as he was looking for his milk, I had to give him back to his mother right away.
Yeah. Is this, that was somebody in the church or?
Yeah, that's
family?
Tisha Gorham's baby. That's little Mr. Kamel.
Yeah, I
Mr.
know
Kamel.
somebody's coming in the family though, but
No, he's here.
he's here. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Leo is here. Leo came quite early. Leo came at 2 pounds, so he's here.
So that's Sheriff Moore's grandson.
Sheriff Moore's grandson. He is here and
All
doing
right.
well. He's holding his own now.
All right. I saw that picture. I didn't know if you've some kind of miracle had happened.
I tell you, no, Mr. Leo is here, but I told people in church that I had him. I had Kamel yesterday.
Miracles happen.
They do happen.
Welcome everybody. We had that little small talk, but welcome everybody to Portsmouth Coffee Talk. And this morning we have a special guest with us, Ray Anthony Smith, Senior. And
please put that senior on there because you'll never hear the end of it.
You got that right.
Yeah, I had to think about it because I didn't write it down here. But anyway, Ray Smith Senior, and he's our special guest this morning, and he is the chairman of the Portsmouth Economic Development Authority, and he's retired from Dominion Energy. They've had so many names. I think he was with them when they were called VEPCO. Am I correct, Ray?
That's correct. That's correct. And a lot of people don't know. Let me give you some trivia. It is still VEPCO. It just trades as Dominion Energy.
Mm-hmm.
Legally, the name is still VEPCO, but it trades because we're in about 18 states. So it trades as Dominion Energy, North Carolina Energy, and others in other states.
Oh, so okay. Oh, good trivia. We didn't know that. I thought it was changed completely. But anyway, you retired from that after what,
42 years.
42 years at Dominion Energy. And he got all those calls when your lights went out and saying, but you weren't climbing the poles at that time. But anyway, we have him here this morning and wanted to have him on this morning to talk about economic development in the city of Portsmouth. We don't hear much about it publicly with all the different things going on. We're going to talk about that and some other things, issues in the city of Portsmouth that Mr. Smith has no problem talking about. But first, explain the role of the, and I'll say this too, when I did the promo of you coming on here, some people responded by saying congratulations. I don't know if they thought you were the new director.
Director.
You know,
No, I think they did.
yeah, I think, you know, I said, well, I did congratulate you, but explain the role of the Economic Development Authority and your role as chairman.
Yeah, well, one of the things that we all need to recall is that, you know, Virginia is a Commonwealth state. There had to be an entity because of, you know, state code that had to make transactions, land and business transactions on behalf of cities and counties. So there came about the economic development. Also, another even older organization, the Portsmouth Port and Industrial Commission, which dates back in the 50s. Economic development came about in the late 60s. But what we primarily do is we handle transactions, buying and selling property and real estate at market and below market rate. And we also, you know, reach out to developers. They come into the city to bring in new businesses, from large corporations to the small businesses, which is our you know, biggest arena is the small businesses. We all consider us a small business city, even though we do have some large corporations here. So that's our primary function. We buy and sell real estate. We also manage, you know, properties, you know, around the city, and working in conjunction, you know, with the housing authority, who also, you know, owns real estate around the city. We are the two entities that own and manage most of the city type real estate around the city.
And Ray, before the other two hosts get in there, and I served on that same authority for about 8 years, and served as chairman as well. And I know how important it is, the relationship between that authority and the city council, or the present sitting city council. Is very important because of what you just said, you know, because certain things that the city council can't do as far as negotiate with developers and things like that. And that's why you have your own budget, you have your own money, and
Yes,
that's funneled through the city to you all. And you all do things that the city council people can't do legally.
right.
How is that relationship? I know it's been up and down over the years. I think when I was there in the early 2000s, it was pretty good. And we made sure if we had any issues, we asked for a meeting with them, because it was just so important to be on the same page for something so important to the city's economic success.
Yeah.
So how's that relationship as far as
I've been on EDA since 2019. As you recall, I filled in once Paige Cherry went over to the Treasury Department. I filled in the rest of his term for a year. And then once I concluded that council at the time in 2019, they appointed me to the EDA. The relationship has been sporadic. We have two liaisons that normally would attend our meetings. It depends on who they are, but we have one that tends more than the other. One rarely attends, and then the other one, you know, he's recently, you know, started attending. But so it's been sporadic. There's not a lot of communications between them and us. It's just the way things kind of have evolved. You know, like you said, EDA is the top most important board and commission in the city. And it is very important because it's all about the progress. It's all about moving the city forward. And like you also said, we're self-funded. The city does not give us any money. We are allowed to keep the proceeds of buying when we sell property in order to give us money to buy property. So we're allowed to keep it. The city only pays for the staff. We even pay for the office space. We have the entire second floor in the town bank building, and we pay those bills. So the city just funds the staff.
And one other thing, with the recent departure of Robert Moore, who was the Economic Development Director.
Did you say Reverend Moore?
Robert Moore.
Oh, okay.
Did I get that right? It sounded like I said Reverend, but Robert
Yeah,
Moore.
okay.
And regardless of however he left, I don't know, it's been two different versions of it, but he's not there anymore. How is that going to affect the operation of the Economic Development Office? Is it going to be business as usual, or it's going to have to be a learning curve here on trying to get back on track?
Well, you know, Robert's been gone now for several months.
Really?
Brian Donahue, the assistant director, has been running things since then. They work together very good, and Brian has just stepped up, and Brian is the kind of guy that's, you know, out there as well. You know, he's very knowledgeable. He's been around, worked for other cities, worked for the housing authority. So he's very knowledgeable. So we really haven't missed a beat since Brian has stepped in.
Okay.
So you say it's been several months since Robert Moore left?
Yeah, he was actually promoted. Remember, he was promoted to deputy by Angel Jones.
Right.
He was promoted to deputy, so he moved over to City Hall.
Oh, that's right. He surely did. That's right. So he had left the Office of Economic Development at that time.
Yes,
When he
yes.
moved over. Okay. All right. Ray, my question is, what is it that Portsmouth is planning? Because when you ride through Suffolk and you see all the great things, it used to be surprising Suffolk, but now it seems to be amazing Suffolk.
Mhm.
Where are we as far as having a place that you can buy shoes, you can buy clothing? You know, you really have to go outside of the city of Portsmouth in order to purchase those items.
Yeah, and that's always been an issue, and that's something that we struggle with all the time. We're limited in the amount of available space that we have to market.
Mhm.
Suffolk, as you know, has the most land in the state of Virginia as a
Exactly, it
city.
does. It does.
Is the largest land-wise as far as
Mhm.
the city goes, and they're growing. They're growing. They have a lot of folks coming to them, especially the big corporations, because of the warehousing space that they've been able to build. But we are, you know, working on that. That's something that we all know that we have to bring to the city, and that's the best answer I can give you. It's not that we haven't tried, but the clientele, the citizens, the income levels, all have to support, you know, certain levels of restaurants and certain levels of clothing stores. And so it can be difficult at times to draw them, you know, but we're working on that. That's part of what we want to do on Victory Boulevard along the entertainment district. We have some businesses that have purchased land. There's the old site at what Burger King used to be, you know, that's been sold, and that's going to be potentially maybe a restaurant and hotel. And then there's other parcels along Victory on the entertainment district that we have available. A lot of that wooded area over there, that belongs to the city as well.
Mhm.
So we're reaching out. We're trying to bring those types of, even in the case with the casino, and as you know, the hotel wasn't immediately built. It's going to be started next year, but their market plan, when Rush Street, they have about 5 casinos. They come in and build a casino first, and then they judge the level of hotel and other amenities based on the clientele. But they're going to be, you know, top tier, but they'd like to look at the market and the people that come to see if they need to take it up to even a higher level. So a lot of those things are happening and going on. You can see, the corner there at Frederick and Turnpike is finally going to be developed. It's going to be Chipotle and Starbucks over there. And then unfortunately, car washes.
Car washes everywhere.
Car wash.
Mhm.
Well,
Everywhere.
council has done something to kind of, curtail some of that, by requiring a use permit. So there's going to be another one out here in Cavalier Manor at Greenwood. And that's probably one of the last ones, but they had a big marketing
And
plan.
there's one coming on Frederick Boulevard as well, right? Frederick and
Yeah,
Turnpike.
yes, that's right. That's one of the Go Greens, and they had a big marketing plan to kind of take over Hampton Roads actually, and they were planning to build about 10 of them in between Chesapeake and Portsmouth, and some of that kind of got derailed. There's property around the Victory Shopping Center there too that's available next to Lowe's and where the old Ruby Tuesday was, and then the property right behind the shopping center. So those properties are being marketed, by us. One of the things that you learn, being a councilman, and I was a councilman, from back 2004 to 2008, is that we have to show unity. We have to be together in our conversation, what we do, how we react, how we approach, and folks are watching us. You are amazed. Well, I know y'all aren't amazed.
We know.
But folks are amazed at who's watching Lonely Old Portsmouth. And now we've really got a negative shot
Yeah.
across the country because of what's going on now. And as a councilman, and that's a big part of makes it critical who's on council, that you have some experience and what it takes to be involved in city government. You have some knowledge of how city government works and what it takes to be a councilman. You can take the leadership that a city council can say, well, hey, we're going to take the reins and we're going to run this economic development, or they can give it to us to run, or we can do it together. We did it together when I was on council with the council and economic development. This council hasn't really participated, but yet they want to jump up, and say, hey, who started this, or who did this, or who
Yes,
did
we
that?
bought this here. We did
Yeah.
this. We did
Yeah.
that. Yes.
Yeah, and a lot of things that have come into fruition, all of the millions and millions of dollars of economic development that have happened in the last 4 or 5 years is actually before this
The
present
council
even
before, that's for
set.
sure. Yeah.
All of the big, we do have some big corporations here like Fairlead, who invested about 25 million on the waterfront down there. You got Lineage, the cold storage place over there by the Port Authority, 84 million bucks. And it's just, those are the biggies right there, and that's long term. And a lot of folks just don't understand, even some of our city leaders, we don't have economic development, don't have millions and millions of dollars. Our budgets, run anywhere from, $5 to $15 million, but it takes millions and millions of dollars to attract, because you have to entice people at times. So that means you give and take. If you short sale, or you lower your prices to get them to come in and build, that's what you do. And folks don't even know, if you say the word proffer, a lot of folks even on the council wouldn't even know what you were talking about. They think it's giveaways, and you do things to make enticements. And I know my years on city council, I was constantly advocating for a war chest that the city council would put aside. I mean, at least about 30 or 40 million bucks, where we can have money to entice folks to come, by offering them certain incentives, infrastructure, those types of things that we take care of, just like we did back. James was a part of that also, when we had the Holiday Inn site that we were marketing, which that's still on the market. We still own that. And we have been talking to some people about that. So it's a lot of different things, and we've gotten unsolicited proposals, and there's folks that don't even understand how that works that own the council, and you know, so there's just a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of lack of knowledge as to how city government works and what you can and cannot do. And you know, you have to be approachable as council members, you know, and you have to have a broad view and a long-term view. You do some short-term things that's going to reap you benefits down the road.
Ray, you know, and I'm glad that you said that, because I was going to, one of my questions for you is how does the state of the city impact upon your being able to bring entities into the city? Because I know for a fact I have friends in other states who have watch parties just to see what the city council is going to do next. And I know that not only just as those individuals who are not in government, how they're watching to see what the city is doing, the malfunction of the city. The businesses are as well looking at the malfunction of the city. And until we can really get the council to work with you, we're not going to be moving anywhere as far as the growth of the city. I mean, you know, how do you counteract that when you're trying to deal with an entity who's coming into the city to do business here? I know they have to be uncertain as to what's going to happen in the city, whether they need to come here or not, you know?
Yes, and that is absolutely just what you said. They're sitting back now, they're watching, they're looking, and they really can't really make a move, you know, because the critical person in the city government is the city manager.
Exactly.
And we lost a super great person in Angela Jones. And I'll just put that out there because I've worked with her a lot, talked with her a lot, and she brought a lot of knowledge here. And that is a critical position. And that is sometimes the first persons that get approached by major developers, large corporations, when they looking to come into a place. They will, you know, look at the city manager. So we're really on hold now until some of these things can be ironed out, and they're standing back, you know, hoping, you know, that things will blow over. But you know, so we're in a little quagmire here. We're in a little suspended animation, so to speak, however you want to phrase it, because they won't come. They wouldn't want to touch us because they look to the strong city management, and that's to help them get their feet in the door, help them get kicked off. And then economic development comes in and works with them also to kind of shore the footing. But right now, we're in a hole, and I believe we're going to come through it. You know, we're not going to go down the tubes, but if we continue to put people on city council based on popularity and qualifications, we are going to die. Y'all, you have seen what happened in Petersburg. This entire city went bankrupt.
That's right.
And if we're in good financial shape, don't get me wrong, we've had some good financial management people in our finance department and our planning department and various other departments that have, you know, ensured that, you know, things are maintained, and that we do, you know, we have an unrestricted funds, you know, that at our disposal, 80 million bucks. So that's strong. We have real good credit ratings. But, you know, if these things continue to linger, you know, 6 or 7 or 8 months, then it's going to start hitting the credit ratings. And the credit ratings mean our ability to float bonds and to borrow money. And that's how, you know, cities operate. All cities operate. School divisions, they operate that way. So that's going to hurt us if we can't get through this. And it's crucial. Citizens have got to understand that popularity is not
It's not
the
what it's
key.
about.
It's you need people on council that have some business background, some people on city council that has been on boards and commission that knows how city government operates and works. You know, that's our biggest problem now is the lack of knowledge. And we have to ensure that these folks know what they're doing and they understand what a unsolicited proposal means and what the city ordinances. You know, we get asked questions about creating policies to on developers and business people that are discriminatory. You know, that where you can tell they want us to tell a developer or you know a company who to hire. You know, whether it be black or white or gray, blue, green. And in those instances, you can sit down and you can negotiate and you can talk to them and ask them, you know, and tell them your expectations, but you cannot create policy that makes them have to hire, you know, people you know, because of race, because of, you know, creed, because of whatever. You can't do that. It's against federal and state law. And we have, you know, folks that are sitting on council that don't even know that.
Don't understand federal, state, don't understand federal law, don't understand state law, don't understand city law.
That's right. That's right. And you know, and these are facts. I'm not, you know, bashing or I'm not saying anything.
Yeah.
But all of us see these things from the meetings and from a lot of other things that's happening. So it's easy to see if you know, how things work and how things have worked in the past. Now, there's a lot of talk about stuff going on behind the scenes, and that's been going on for years. You know, that a lot of these things are just human nature and it's just business and just, you know, but if you cross certain barriers, if you do certain things, let me tell you, it's not like it used to be. The federal government is watching, the state police are watching, state attorney general are watching, and ultimately you're going to get caught if you're trying to do those illegal type things. And they do go on and they still happen. You know, are they going on in Portsmouth? You know, sure. Are they going on in other cities? Yes, they are. But, you know, the more that you can minimize that and prevent that, then, you know, you will get folks, you know, with integrity and folks that are quality people to work and to come here, not only to live, but also to be candidates, you know, for council and for public office.
And people are just jumping in to run just to run, you know,
just because they feel like they have the right.
Because I have a right to run, but sometimes you got to think about the well-being of the city. What's best for the city at this stage? When we look at all that we're going through in the city of Portsmouth, what's best for the city of Portsmouth? Should this be my time to run or should I wait? You know, who would have a better impact to make sure that this city can turn things around and we can have a positive light in the city? So the self-thought has to just go away and just help to promote those people who we know will be the best people to run the city of Portsmouth. Not because they're friends, not because they're popular with your social groups, but the right person who understands business. You got to have someone who understands business because we're at a terrible place now in Portsmouth.
Yeah, there's a lot of jealousy and envy and a lot of folks trying to position themselves for a lot of personal gain. And that's the fallacy. That's the problems that we're going through now. And I just had to put it out there. I'm sorry. I may get in trouble, but you know, y'all know me.
No, we want you to put it out there. We know.
I have over the years, and James knows, Leah knows that I have been out here since I was a senior in high school.
That's right.
Doing this. We fought for Norcom, you know, and we continue to fight for Norcom, even up to now. And we've been out here back in the day. I missed my senior class trip I was at the state Democratic, Dolores Overton and myself were at the
Mhm.
state Democratic convention in Roanoke
Mhm.
when we were seniors
Oh,
in high school. So
I was wondering where y'all we had a good time, but let Colonel get in there. But before we do that, we're approaching 7 o'clock, and I just want to thank all the listeners on WGPL 1350 AM for listening to us today. And at some point, we'll go off the radio, but we'll continue on Facebook Live, and of course, later on we'll be on YouTube. But in saying that, I'll let the Colonel get in there. I know he's been waiting patiently.
Ray, yeah, thanks. Ray, you've said a mouthful, but let me put this out before we go off the radio station.
Okay.
Is
Right.
that one, the views listed on this program or stated on this program are those of the guests and the host and not of the radio station. So we'll get that clear. So, and this is our own opinions. And the second piece is if you like what you're hearing and you're only going to hear it now, we need your help so we can continue this and so program. So if you'd like to send an honorarium or a donation, you can send it to Portsmouth Coffee Talk, P.O. Box 7664, Portsmouth, Virginia 23707. So the first thing I'd like to ask is that the EDA, Economic Development Authority, it is a separate organization away from the city council. So is that sort of like separation of church and state per se? Am I correct?
Well, not actually. The city council is over everybody.
Right.
I mean, in the city, they appoint us. They appoint us, so they oversee us. But and they can remove us, for cause. We were sworn in, just like they were, and we are required by the state. So we're one of the different organizations that are obligated not only to the city but the state as well, because we were put in place by the Virginia General Assembly, as was the PPIC, the Portsmouth Port and Industrial Commission. We're the only two entities, other than of course too, the Housing Authority is under HUD's auspices, and the city council only appoints citizen representatives to be on their board as well. But yeah, we're in a way it's two lanes, but it all flows up to the city council.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Yes.
The other piece is for educational purposes. You talked about floating of bonds. For those out there that may not understand, especially some of the members of the city council, meaning if our bond ratings sink, and this meaning that the muni bonds that the city offers can increase the borrowing costs that we have when we go out there and seek that. Am I correct in that understanding in a simplistic way?
Yes, sir, absolutely. That's exactly what happens. And folks don't understand also that borrowing and floating bonds is a part of every city's business. They're operating, how they fund things. They can float them for short term or long term, and they pay them off. They make payments. That's debt that they carry, and they pay them off, and they go get other bonds, and people like those that invest. You are investing in cities like Portsmouth when you buy bonds through your investments. And so you're absolutely right. You get very good rates on bonds, which make them cheaper for you to buy. And long term, you finance things. The city has multiple departments that can do that, and also, but they have to do it through an entity like us, and they have to do it through the councils with their authorization, of course. But you have public utilities that that we bond for them to do infrastructure work. We stormwater management, we do bonds for those, and and there's a lot of things that we do, because we borrow, but we have the capacity and ability to pay them back because of the revenue that comes in through our taxes, real estate taxes, which is the lion's share of where our money comes from, but all other fees and sources. So folks wonder, well, these fees go up every year and every year. And it's just the cost of doing business. And all cities go through this. We constantly get compared to Virginia Beach and, other
No
Chesapeake, but there's no comparison.
No comparison.
They have $1 billion budgets.
Thank you.
We haven't reached the $1 billion mark yet. But so folks just don't understand that. And they think that, we have this, you have folks that say we don't have money. Then other folks say we do have money, but we squandering it, mismanaging. And they just really don't know how things work. I think over the years, we are financially stable and strong because we can still entice the developers. We can still go out and get bonds. Our credit ratings are all, up high. So yes, you're right, Colonel. You're absolutely right.
So, and another example would be is that the federal government, especially during the Infrastructure Act that the president passed. So if they came in and says, I'm going to give the city of Portsmouth, we're going to give the city of Portsmouth a grant of, say, $5 million to build another water treatment or either another highway or something. But the city has to put a certain percentage of money to do this project. Yes. So that's where we would float a bond to do that.
Yes.
A municipal bond.
Yes.
So if you're an investor, that'd be come back to you on tax-free interest.
Yes.
Am I correct?
You're absolutely correct. Yes.
For that example, yes.
Yes.
I really have a question. Go ahead. Go ahead, Colonel.
Yeah. So for those members of city council that lack the educational preparation for the jobs that they hold, the titles that they hold, is there anything that you could do to give them what we used to call a Murphy book to educate them so they can at least have a rudimentary understanding?
Rudimentary understanding, yes.
Yes.
Well, let me say this, Colonel. It's personal. You have to have the desire for knowledge. You have to realize that you need that knowledge. There's numerous sources that you can go to obtain knowledge, and it's not here in Portsmouth. I will tell you that, and Leah can tell you this too. When we were on the school board together, and when I was on the city council together, there's some organizations that can give you that knowledge just by attending workshops, seminars. There's a national organization called the National League of Cities. It is every council member in all 50 states and Puerto Rico and Guam and all of the territories, Virgin Islands. There's also a Virginia School Board Association. There's a National School Board Association. That you get to meet and network with folks across the country. There are some folks that I met even when I was on a school board that I got to know across the country, that I still have their numbers and I can still call them. On the city council, at the National League of Cities, there's a mayor's association that Dr. Holly became, the chairman of that before he left. And all of the mayors in the entire United States are members of that. And that's what you have to avail yourself to. You have to go. Now, back in the day, Marlene Randall, Charles Whitehurst, and some of those, the mayor and some of those guys that I learned a lot of things from. Now, don't get me wrong. Now, behind the scenes, we squared off quite frequently. But when we came out, we got all of that stuff off our chest.
United front. Come out as a united front.
Yep, and we were together. I can recall being up, 2-3 o'clock in the morning, you remember the old Blackberries, you know, we going back and forth, you know, one another, you know, not individually. It's not, you know, it wasn't, you know, 4 or 5 of us. It just like maybe one night I'm, you know, talking to Bill Moody, or another night I'm talking to Charles, or, you know, and you know, because you really can't do that in groups back then, like you can now. So so those are the kinds of things that you have to avail yourself to learn. And then the staff, Deborah White's staff, city manager, they bring in, you know, consultants to come in to teach you about parliamentary procedure. You know, one thing too, council has its own set of rules that it has agreed upon to abide by. And, you know, this group is just chunk that out, you know. They all have to agree on it in the beginning. The school board, you know, they take a like, it's called a code of ethics, and they agree not to blindside one another. They agree to talk and work with one another, to have a relationship with the city manager. And some of you that have, you know, worked for folks or have folks work for you, everyone in a business, you know, I was in management, you know, for most of my career in Dominion. I had relationships with my employees, and we talked, we chat, you know, off and on, you know, even off hours. And it's the same way with a city manager and a city council. You know, you should have a relationship with the city manager. It shouldn't be adversarial. You know, the city manager would always set aside time for council members to even go over the agenda every month. You know, you could do it by the telephone, you could do it in person. They want to know if you have anything to input to the agenda. If you have any things to input to the budget, you know, you have those opportunities to do that. So it's personal, Colonel, it's personal, and you have to, you know, want, and you have to have the desire for education and knowledge, and not just float.
Right.
You know,
In all your times,
can I
are you saying something, James? James, are you?
yeah, I was trying to get in, but go ahead and finish your
No,
point.
go ahead, James. Go ahead.
Go ahead and finish your point, Leah.
In all your times having served and been on boards and commissions, can you recall, I was trying to recall a time when 3 or 4 councilmen make decisions without allowing the others to know what the decision is prior to the council meeting. And I just couldn't pull up a time. Could you help me with this?
Well, that happens, and that's happened in the past. But the difference is, like you said, the others know about it.
Yes.
You know, it's not they might, you know, coalesce together, you know, for common goals, you know, to make sure that you have the votes to get something done. Everybody has things on their plate.
Yes.
Everybody has their little pet projects, their little pet peeves. So you caucus, you know, with an individual council member, you know, to make sure that they have all the information that they need, and that you can count on them to support you. But you include everybody in the process eventually.
Exactly.
You know, there's never been a time. What happened, you know, with the city manager this time, and even with, you know, trying to get
Make
a
the
new city
appointment.
manager.
Yes.
No, nothing like that has happened to my knowledge. You know, now I'm not, when you never say never, because you don't know everything. There's no way you can know everything that's going on behind the scenes. But to my knowledge, you know, this was a time when 3 council members were blindsided, you know, with a new candidate that, you remember the names that were being floated out there.
Yes.
You know, everybody was hearing, but then for them, the night of a call meeting to be blindsided by a candidate that they had no clue about, you know. So So no, it's rare. It's rare, but it happens. Leah.
Yeah, yeah. James Overton? I think he's frozen.
Yeah, I think he's frozen. Well, now he's off now. So yes, and you are correct. Yes, they have blindsided that the other three members and sort of ran roughshod. And I call them nickname them the Four Horsemen. What they're doing. And I've never seen anything like it. And then so I hark back to the discussion that we had as far as trying to educate the members of the city council that don't have some of them don't have the bandwidth to be up there. And so if I'm a big business trying to come in here, say I'm an Amazon, instead of coming to Suffolk, I wanted to come to Portsmouth. And I looked on YouTube or whatever on TV and saw and looked at and did my research and looked at the dysfunction of the city council. Am I coming here after I talk to your organization and I ask you what's going on here in Portsmouth? I want to bring tens of millions of dollars here to Portsmouth, and I got a piece of land out here. What's going on here? Are we in Mars or somewhere?
Well, you framed it right. You know, they're standing back, like I said earlier. They're looking and they're watching. And no, they aren't. You know, because some of the first things that happen in a corporation has public relations and government affairs that are even companies like Dominion. And what they'll do is, you know, they'll try to get a temperature check any way they can.
Exactly.
And they may approach individual council members and just want them to know, you know, what their plans are and what they're thinking about or what they're doing. And that happens all the time, you know, and you have to be approachable. And often folks aren't approachable like that, you know, because they think that folks are trying to buy them off. But that's a public servant, and that's what you do on a federal and state level. You as a council member are also a public relations person that should be promoting the city and that should be going out, you know, and even as mayor, you know, and you know, Dr. Holly was up and down the East Coast and across the country being the drum major for the city.
That's right. That's right.
Everywhere I went across this state, and somebody say, well, you know, you tell them you from Portsmouth, and the first name, the two names that I would hear on the school board and when I was on city council, when I was I don't care, I was in California, I met people in Alaska, I was in people up in New York, and they say you from Portsmouth, they've heard of Portsmouth. Let me tell you that. They've heard of it. And then the first name they call, oh, you know, Jim Holly. And then the next name, you would not believe, the next name would be either Charles Whitehurst or Marlene Randall.
Exactly.
Across the country, I'm telling you. So you're right, Colonel. They are sitting back, you know, they are watching. And that's why I said we're kind of, you know, in a little quagmire here right now, because they don't know who to approach. There's no city manager to approach. They don't know, you know, council members. So, and they don't know whether they're approachable or not approachable, you know, so that's the way things are right now. So you're right.
Well, James, when you all are negotiating, Ray, when you all are negotiating for these entities to come into Portsmouth, and if the city councilman is trying to get them to do something like some of the things you mentioned earlier that you can't do because of the laws and what have you, do they come to you all to get you to do it, or do they approach the entity to try to get the entity to do the things that they want them to do? Say, for instance, build a Boys and Girls Club on Portsmouth Boulevard. I mean, that's just an example. We shouldn't call organizations anymore because we get in trouble. But say if they want to just build something for kids on another. I mean, do they come to you all to ask you to do it, or do they approach the companies themselves and ask them to do it? And is that proper?
Well, it depends. It depends. the companies decide on their approaches. The developers decide on who they're gonna approach and how they're gonna approach us as a city. They can choose to come to a councilman and let that councilman open up doors for them or introduce them to other staff members. They can come through economic development, you know, and they can approach them and let economic development, you know, make those moves for them. So it just depends on the company. The company makes the decisions. You know, I've sat down myself as a councilman with some very prominent people across this country, and they are very famous people. And I've had lunch with them because I got a call from their PR person, or I got a call from a local person, you know, that they approached and they knew, and they says, hey, Mr. Smith, I was told that, you know, I needed to talk to you. I got questions and maybe you can help me or point me in the right direction. So that's one of the approaches, you know, when I sat down with a person that wanted to invest, you know, $100 million, and I've talked to them all, large and small. I've talked to some folks that, you know, wanted to invest in renewable energy. This is one good example, and I'm not going to call any names, but it was a guy who owned a soccer not soccer, but hockey, professional hockey team up in the Maryland area. And he came down and he wanted to use renewable energy, you know, to build and develop. And so what he would do, and they would build for you, and that's what they're offering now, building and lease back to pay for them. And there's numerous entities and companies that do that. And so they wanted to put a whole facade of a high-rise building with solar panels, you know, and it would actually pay, you know, all of the utility bills, you know, just by its operation. And that money would also benefit the folks that live there. So it's just so many ideas that come to us. You would not believe the people that come to you and say, well, hey, who can I talk to, large and small? The small ones, you know, they're coming every day. The big ones, you know, come, you know, not as often, but they are at least talking to, and if they know that you are approachable as a councilman, that's what they will do. And so I've talked to some very, you know, famous, some athletes, some that are business people, some real estate, you know, tycoons, some billionaires that have, you know, I get a call out of the blue, and you first you think, you know, well, is this real or whatever? And then you wind up sitting across the table and talking to them, you know. So that's how it works.
So for someone who's not been exposed, that would excite them.
It would.
If you've not been out there and you've not been exposed, it would excite you that these people are calling you, you know, and you wouldn't know how to handle it.
Right. And you sitting across the table from them, and first thing you want to do is get autographs and take pictures with them.
Thank you.
But,
and that's not the purpose.
But you have to maintain that, you know, but
That's
you have
right.
to keep it in the proper perspective, because maybe after the meeting it's time for that. But while you are in the meeting, you have to be businesslike, and you have to, you know, answer their questions, and you have to ask questions as well. So
Exactly.
so it's a mixed bag of approaches that folks will come to you.
Wow. So you have to be polished from one.
Yes.
And you have to understand what's involved in being a council person. And I think we really have to come up with some really good questions to ask these people so we can know where they are and why they're running, you know?
Yes. And it gets personal. This gets personal, and that's what you really have to get into.
Yeah.
So in order to vet people, you know, and that's what we lack. You know, we just don't do that right, because we don't know what to say or how to frame it.
Exactly. James is back. James.
Let me every time I tried to get in, my Zoom connection goes out.
Yeah, I
and
noticed that you
been
were
having that
preaching.
problem the whole, yeah, it just keeps going in and
Yeah,
Go,
he just
going
left
again.
us
There he
again.
goes, yes.
He's left us again.
Yeah, it's his connection. It's probably his connection,
Yeah, I
his
think that's what it
Wi-Fi
is.
connection.
It's your Wi-Fi connection, James. Are you there?
yeah, well, we don't have Wi-Fi here. I have to, T-Wood doesn't have it yet. We went there yesterday trying to get, but anyway, it keeps going out. But I wanted to, what Ray said, as far as people, developers going to councilmen's or development, economic development office, they'll go to councilmen they feel who are knowledgeable about the development process.
Yes.
They won't go to people that, for one thing, when they were trying to do something in the city, shoot them down for things that they could negotiate. I'll use one example that, and that's why I'd be so frustrated being on the EDA and Planning Commission. I kind of learned, and I knew where my strength was. I always gave credit to the people around me when I was on the Planning Commission, those staffers and things like that, because you don't automatically get smart because you're elected to council on everything. So you have to make sure you those people that have been to school for financing, who have been to school for economic development, been to school for that. So you have to listen to them, and especially the people you appoint yourself to these important
Thank
commissions
you.
to them. And Mr. Breeden, who is a big developer out of Virginia Beach, has done several things in the city and was trying to build another apartment building. And they got him down because they wanted him to give money to the law. Now, that's not a reason. And see, those, so they'll go to those guys to work out development deals because they know they don't really understand how it works. You know, you let these companies come in there and then you negotiate with them, they will readily give money to, programs and things like that, but you don't stop their progress because they can't tell you right then what they're going to do because they're not expecting that. They come in. Well, anyway, I had to throw that out there, but yeah, they don't, back to small business rate. You get back to that. What are some of the incentives for small businesses coming here? A lot of businesses might not know that how easy, the advantages they might have being a small business opening up in the city of Portsmouth, since that's what's so prevalent in our city. We want the big businesses, but we have to face reality. Small businesses are going to be what is going to be part of the economic engine that drives us. So what are some of the thinking about opening a small business in the city of Portsmouth?
Well, Portsmouth EDA has grant programs, and beginning as little as $2,000, our Smart Start, up to $25,000 that you can apply for the real property, 2,000, 5,000, and 25,000 that you can apply for as a small business owner. And depending on, how long you've been in, say if you've been in business from 0 to 3 years, then you qualify for Smart Start. That's up to like $2,000. And if you've been in longer, in say 3 to about 7 years, you qualify for 5,000. And then once you've really got established, then you can, apply for real property grant investment up to 25,000. And these require, matching funds. So we just not just giving away, to give away. You also have to show us a business plan, and you also have to show us that you are established and that you have, X number, at least 10 or more employees to qualify for some of these larger grants. Then there's other incentive programs that the state offers, like the business investment grants, the enterprise zone grants, the tax exempt historical rehab grants, the even foreign tax, the hub zone. All of those are state and federal incentive programs that they can also apply for to get city and state money.
You know, that's you've said a mouthful. You have said a mouthful. It looks like Slim's going in and out, but we're rapidly approaching our time.
I mean, let me ask one quick question, Colonel, before we wind down. Ray, are there any plans for that High Street corridor? The part that runs from Effingham Street up to like the Elm Avenue section? Are there any plans in economic development for that area?
Yes, there are. We're limited as economic development as to the available money that we have to purchase property, and we are just for one good example, the Craddock Civic League put together a community development corporation so that they can start themselves and initiating themselves, and we're teaming with them, and we're looking at, you know, also helping them purchase property in that little Afton Square,
right?
To try to help them get started. We're doing that too. Also, along that corridor that you mentioned from Elm to Effingham, there are Mr. Keels has 60 condominiums that he's got approved to come down at where Mary Jane Bakery used to be, that he's just coming through planning, just as he's with the apartments that he's building out here in Cavalier Manor. He's just about ready to, you know, to break ground on some of that, but it was a lengthy process to get a lot of that stuff through with COVID, and then all of the process, the shortage of planning people and things like that. So in that corridor, we are also looking and talking to some folks. We do a lot of talking behind the scenes, because in order not to jeopardize, you know, selling prices and to make folks get greedy on us, we have to keep a lot of our negotiations and our talks confidential. So we can't even tell you all of the folks that we're talking to that are interested in Victory Boulevard. And also, you also remember the office building that's on Victory there, that that United House of Prayer built.
Yeah. Stay vacant for so long.
Right now, that's fully to capacity.
So what is in there now?
A lot of folks that are working over there on the casino, a lot of folks that are doing business, you know, in the city. That and what some folks don't understand either, that is the only first A-class office space in the city.
It is
in that building. Yes. Yes. Besides, we have a lot of B places, you know, downtown, but that is class A type office space, which requires higher rents. So those are the things that are going on, you know, behind in certain quarters. The innovation district, you know, there's people that have purchased property in the Effingham Street area that have not been able to get things kicked off because of COVID and some other things that are going on in their business worlds. But they do own and possess some of the property. They purchased it. So the monies that 50 acres that we sold to Rush Street for the casino was owned by the EDA, and then all that other vacant property that went up for auction, that's coming back up for auction again. And so there's a lot of things going on, you know, as we speak, but they're going to be hampered. You know, some of these things don't require, you know, going before city council and these transactions, and we can make them because we own them. But once folks started, you know, presenting plans and start developing, then they have to go before city council and planning.
Ray, let me get this one thing in before I lose my signal. You know, one of the issues has been people in Portsmouth that live in this city, are they qualified for certain jobs? And I think the Economic Development Office now has a workforce development program for people to come in and help them, assist them be qualified for some of these jobs that might come through. That's always been an issue. So talk a little bit about that program and how it's helping people.
Yeah, that is a comprehensive training program, and we also fund that through the EDA, through our budget. We fund that. This, again, the city staffs, Pam Kroom, who runs it, she's one of the Brian Donahue staff members, but we fund the space. We've paid for the renovations and a lot of things that's going on up there. Remember that space used to belong to the Portsmouth Partnership, and we took it over and we remodeled. We brought it up, to a lot of technology as far as AV. And so we do complete training for free. You can come there if you're trying to get a CDL. We'll help you through that process. If there's companies that have spaces there that they can come in if they want to, hold job fairs, or they want to talk to folks. Any kind of job related training, we're doing it. We're in touch with them, companies that get employees from Hampton Roads Transit Authority to other entities. We're working with TCC. We're working for Portsmouth Public Schools. They're a part of it, and they kick in and they help with the training. And so anyone that can come there, just walk in on the second floor and sign up. You can come in and use the computers. If you need to use computers, you can get documents printed off or whatever. So it's a full fledged office for workforce development and training and enhancement and getting people in connect with people with jobs.
So Ray,
that
for the
want to
individual
hire.
who may not know, please share information on the address as to where they can go and participate in those programs.
That's 200 High Street, right at the corner of Crawford and High Street. It's on the second floor of the Town Bank
Town
building.
Bank, yes. So if anyone is interested, the training is being offered there on the second floor of the Town Bank business.
And it's free.
And it's free.
It's free. And it prepares you for, to be able to apply for some of the jobs that might come through.
Yes.
For those people, Portsmouth people are not prepared, so this helps us be prepared to get those jobs that might come through.
Yeah.
And as we wind down, I like to say we all agree the importance of economic development and the discussion of it, and letting the public know what's going on as far as economic development. It's very seldom talked about on our elected officials level. So I think it's important, we spread the word. And Ray, we want to have you back to talk about some other things as far as the Port Authority and what's going on over there, and how we take advantage as a city by it being on our land. How do we benefit from the Port Authority and the terminal that's over there, and other things. The PPIC, which is separated from the EDA now, used to be all one. Yes. They pretty much deal with that, but you can come back, or the chairman of that, which I think is that Angelina Allen.
Angelina Allen, yes.
So maybe we'll have her on to talk about that and yes, what's going on with the PPIC. And that's so yes, and she just let us know, yes, she is the chairman. So let's just keep that development, economic development talk out there on the forefront, so people won't be thinking there's nothing going on as far as that. And the more we are aware of what's going on, I think it's going to be best. I think developers look at educated city a fair light as well. If they see the citizens involved and know what's going on, sometimes they might look past some other things. So, So we're here at Portsmouth Coffee Talk are dedicated to making sure we get information out there that's not really shared as much as it should be, especially good information.
And
James,
the
last comment from the host.
And James, you're so right. And in light of the fact that we're entering into an election season, I think it is incumbent upon us to get as much information out there to the public so that they can be prepared to make the right decision as to the individuals that they will elect to the Portsmouth City Council so that Portsmouth can move forth. But Ray, I want to say it's been a plum pleasing pleasure
Oh,
having
my
served on the
goodness.
school board with you and having served on the Norcom Alumni Association committee with you. And I'm just thankful for all the things that you have done in the city of Portsmouth. You have truly made Israel Charles Norcom proud, because it was his goal to raise men and women who would go out and do things in a great way. And you have indeed done that. And I just look
Thank you.
forward to you coming back, sharing more information as we continue to give information to the public about things that they need to be aware of when they make
Yes.
that decision as to who they are going to place on the Portsmouth City Council. So I want to say once again, thank you for your service. Thank you for everything you've done for the city of Portsmouth and everything that you continue to do for the city of Portsmouth. Thank you so very much, Ray.
You are. Thank you.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'll echo what Leah said, Ray. It's been a pleasure talking to you. It's been enlightening. And I'll also say that it's up to the citizens of Portsmouth. So when it's time to go to the ballot box, exercise your constitutional right,
Mhm.
self-governance. We've gotten in our recent history, we've seen where what I call the four horsemen have kneecapped our city. And if you want to continue dysfunction, you keep what you got. But if you want to move forward, it's up to you.
Amen.
Yes.
This lesson from one of our watchers, Daphne Warren Sorrell. You have to be a Portsmouth resident. I'm sure she's talking about the workforce development program. Do you have to be a Portsmouth resident to?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, that's one of the criteria. And I'd like to add this too. Their meetings, EDA meetings and PPIC meetings are televised.
Yeah.
Just like the council meetings are on YouTube. So watch those so you can be informed about what's going on with those two groups that are doing some very important work. Be educated, because it's going to help you also when you're vetting candidates. So you'll know whether what's coming out of their mouth is true or not, or it's for real or not. So watch their meetings and be informed about what's really going on as far as economic development and the ports. So Ray, thanks again. Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you.
Enjoyed
it.
1972, greatest class ever I see Norcom. But we all say that, right?
Almost the greatest.
We all say.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Yeah.
And thanks everybody for watching. We really appreciate you. And we'll see you Thursday.
Yes.
As we have a conversation with citizens about the ongoing actions of our city government. So we're going to have to bring some citizens on here and hear from them. And, you know, that should be quite interesting. So Thursday at 7 p.m., join us again on Portsmouth Coffee Talks Evening Edition.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much.
And Portsmouth Coffee Talk, James.
Coffee Talk. Boss.
Our community.
In our future.
One day we'll get it right, Ray. We've been doing this for how long now? And we haven't gotten it right yet.
Yeah,
I've seen 60 years we've been doing. We haven't gotten it right yet, but
y'all doing all right.
Take care, Ray. Thanks a lot.
Right.
We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Oh, let me just say one thing before we go, please.
Uh-oh. One more.
A shining light in the city of Portsmouth. Toddle Time Daycare had their graduation on Saturday. And I was quite impressed by those babies. Miss Teresa Ford Cox and her team, they're doing an amazing job. And to listen to these children who have not even gotten to kindergarten yet, but they're doing their sight words, they're counting backwards, they're counting by fives, they're counting by tens and threes, they're reading, they are reading, these babies are reading. So I just have to give a shout out to Teresa Cox Ford and Toddle Time Daycare, Child Development Center. They are doing an amazing job. And if you go on my page, you can see the live video. You can see these babies in action. They were amazing. That's a bright light in the city of Portsmouth.
It's a bright light. And all
I've had a couple of
stars.
grandkids go through there too.
I'm
Yeah.
telling you, she's doing it. She's great. Her staff, they're
program.
great. I mean, I had first graders who couldn't read those sight words that those kids were reading, and they're not even in kindergarten yet. So it's a good thing. Thank you. So thank you for allowing me to share, co-host. Thank you.
Mhm.
No problem. Take care, everybody.
Take
Yep.
care.